Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to our discussion of different years relating to albums and songs within each of them. Um, this time out, we're talking about 1973 again. This time, talking about our favorite songs of the year. If you haven't checked out the albums video, go do that. You also get a good impression of how we each feel about the year as a whole. And I think we all agreed that while it may have been a slight, tiny, whiny step down in terms of albums, it was still pretty brutal in terms of songs. So we're going to do the same order. Vanessa is going to go first, then me, and then we're going to close off with good old Chris. So, um, Vanessa, please
All right.
take the lead.
All right. So, honorable mentions in no particular order, as usual. Starting with Grateful Dead and Stella Blue, a song that just absolutely fell in love with the last couple weeks. Steely Dan and Showbiz Kids. Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty and Louisiana Woman, Mississippi Man. Gotta bring some country in here. Roy Wood and Dear Elaine, which is just such a weird but awesome little song. I think people should check that out if they're not familiar. And also my Marvin Gaye pick, which is If I Should Die Tonight, which that album is actually my number 11. So it's a great one. Number 10, though, is Tom Waits, and I Hope That I Don't Fall in Love with You. Easily my favorite song on Tom Waits' debut. I love the storytelling and the yearning in his voice. It has such a beautiful melody and the arrangement that instantly sticks in your mind. I also think it's cool how the album title is worked into the lyrics a little bit. That's a really neat little touch. And it's definitely different than what he'd go on to do later on, of course. But I just think it's a lovely song. Just a little gem. Number 9 is Graham Parsons and We'll Sweep Out the Ashes in the Morning. The stretch of songs from this to A Song for You are my favorite on that album. But I've settled on this song as my favorite of the trio. I just love the way that Graham and Emmylou sound together here, and how they play off of each other. It's perfect for this cheater's lament. They just do such a great job, and they really sell it. And it also has some great pedal steel here, and the band is on point as well. So, great song. Number 8 is Golden Lady by Stevie Wonder. Inner Visions is one of those albums where I think any song can be a favorite at any given time. And that seems to be true of most of Stevie's golden period. This time around, this is the song that I just was leaning towards, so that's what I picked. The beauty of the chorus makes this one of my favorite to listen to, and I love how there's a lot of cool synth sounds happening throughout the song that makes it stand out. Number 7 is Just One Victory from Todd Rundgren. Say it right this time. Another album with a lot of highlights, but I'm going to pick one of the classics. I love that it's such a triumphant way to close the album, but also that it stands alone as an inspiring and uplifting anthem, which makes it funny from what Tom was saying in the album's video about the darkness, which I guess, yeah, that makes sense too. But I guess I've been choosing to see it as more of an uplifting song. I think there's a reason that Todd often closes his concerts with this song. I think it's a great closer to a night or to an album. So, and it's a perfect way to end something on a high note, I think. Whether or not, however you interpret the song, still a great song. Number 6 is Let Me Roll It by Paul McCartney and Wings. I especially love the verses on this song. I really like how the guitar sounds and the melody that leads into the chorus. They have an interesting contrast that I really appreciate. I also really like the opening organ on it. When I was reading a little more about it, apparently it's been interpreted as a response to John Lennon's How Do You Sleep, which adds an interesting layer to it because aspects of it kind of have a bit of a Lennon-esque sound, even though I still think it's pretty unmistakably Paul. So that's just kind of a neat, apparently unintentional thing, but I thought that was pretty cool. Number 5 is Do the Strand by Roxy Music. One thing I love about this song is that it is super catchy and fun, but it also sounds like a party song from hell. Like, it's just such a crazy song. It's somehow fun and menacing at the same time, which makes it all the more intriguing. And I was reading that Brian Ferry was trying to emulate Cole Porter's style of writing, which you can hear in the catchiness, but it's also like the band couldn't help but inject a bit of glam weirdness into it, which makes it even cooler. Anyway, so do the Strand. Number 4 is Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath by Black Sabbath. Such a killer riff on this song right from the beginning. It just goes so hard. The song is heavy, but it also has a beauty to it when it slows down. It balances out that heaviness of the main riff in such a really cool way. There's just that really cool contrast. It's the perfect blend that Sabbath often perfected. It's easy to see why they've inspired and continue to inspire generations of musicians with just what they did best. And number 3 is my Zeppelin pick with the Rain song, which is a change because for a long time, Over the Hills and Far Away would have been my pick and is always my favorite on the album, but it's been overtaken. This time around, I'm truly soaked in the beauty of the Rain song and haven't been able to get the intro out of my head. I love how this song subtly builds up as more elements are introduced. The acoustic guitars are lovely, and then the mellotron comes in, and later piano, and then the drums kick in. Like it just builds in such a satisfying way. It kind of starts off sounding like a light rainy day and builds to something bigger and more epic until it closes out so quietly again. So it's really appreciated that this time around. Number 2 is Us and Them by Pink Floyd. I love how hypnotic and beautiful this song is, how it starts off quietly with the organs and saxophone working together with the sort of hushed vocals. And then when everything swells and builds up the first time, it's so satisfying. And then I love how it builds and retreats throughout the song like an auditory roller coaster, kind of what it makes me think of. It's exhilarating in much the same way as riding a roller coaster. Definitely a highlight for me on an album that is full of highlights. But number 1 is Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. This is a song that has stood out to me as a song that I have always loved, even when I was a child. I remember hearing it and being drawn in by it. Back then, I associated Elton John with the music he'd been making in the 80s and early 90s, which definitely was not the coolest to me at the time. So it was always strange to hear this captivating melody from his earlier days, because I didn't hear a lot of his earlier stuff around on the radio and stuff at that time. They really focused on that later stuff. So I always found this song a bit haunting, like this little something from the past. I don't know, it's a weird quality to it. And I've always found it sort of intriguing and almost dreamlike. But regardless, it's a song that I've always loved throughout my musical evolution and the places that has taken me. So it's one that I will never tire of. So an easy number 1 for the year.
Yeah, love it.
I'm 3 for 3 on predictions, so I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
For Christmas, so
Just cruising.
yeah. Don't
Let's see. I think I have 1 in common.
I have 2. So could it be finally? Let's not hold our breath, but it could be.
Could be.
For those not aware, we've been waiting since 1967 for a trifecta on the songs list. So not since the year 1967, since we did the year 1967. Anyway, honorable mentions for me. My number 15 is Warm Love by Van Morrison. Far from my favorite Van Morrison album. In fact, it wasn't that good. But Warm Love is an absolute beauty. It's so nice. It's got these like loud, quiet parts which work really well. My number 14 is Steely Dan with My Old School. Just a banger. Not my favorite Steely Dan album, but My Old School is one of my favorite Steely Dan songs for sure. Then 13 and 12 are both Beatles solo. 13 is Band on the Run by Wings. Band on the Run isn't my favorite of the 2 Wings albums from this year, but Band on the Run is my favorite song from Wings this year. And my number 12 is Don't Let Me Wait Too Long by George Harrison, which is just absolutely gorgeous. And if you don't know this song, you should, because it feels like a Beatles song in a lot of ways. And then my number 11 is Martha by Tom Waits. I don't know how this hasn't made the list, but it hasn't, and that sucks. I should probably say my number 16 would have been If I Should Die Tonight by Marvin Gaye. So anyway, number 10 Pink Floyd, and I really struggle with this one. I almost cheated and picked Brain Damage and Eclipse as one song, but I felt like that was pushing it a little bit because they're basically part of the same thing, right? But I was like, okay, I'm not going to push my luck, and I went with Time because it's amazing. I mean, David Gilmour sings most of the songs on this album. I think Waters only sings Brain Damage and Eclipse. I think the rest of the leads are David Gilmour. I might be wrong there. But obviously you can tell by the Time of Animals and especially The Wall that is definitely going into the favor of Waters in terms of how much each of them are singing. But I've always thought Gilmour has had the much prettier voice. And I think a lot of people seem to agree with that. I really like the sort of really quiet psychedelic parts in this, especially when he says the line "hanging on in quiet desperation is the English way." It's like such a strange line, but it's like, it's kind of true. It's also got some of Gilmour's nastiest guitar work. Like some of the guitar parts in this are absolutely filthy. So yeah, it's my number 10. My number 9, the first of 2 matches with Vanessa, is Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath by Black Sabbath. My favorite Black Sabbath song in general. Central riff from Wyoming is incredible, sucks you in immediately. And then obviously that awesome acoustic middle section is so cool. I think it really is the biggest sign. If you were not sold that Changes from Volume 4 was a sign that they were going to be experimenting a lot and not just sticking to this sort of metal sound that they carved out, this kind of proves it. And throughout the whole album, they sort of go with that and explore different ideas. I mean, Rick Wakeman plays on a Black Sabbath album. That's just weird. But yeah, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath is awesome, and it's my number 9. My number 8, probably one of my most rogue picks here. I've got Bruce Springsteen with Incident on 57th Street from his second album, The Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle, which is not one of his best. I like it quite a bit, but it doesn't stack up to Born in the USA or Born to Run or even The River. But this song, I had it in my top 10, I think. It's a real underrated gem from Bruce. His vocals on the album are a bit mixed, but on this, it's kind of a sign of things to come. It's a really huge vocal performance, and he really sells the quieter parts and the louder parts. So many great melodic parts. It has this really sweeping, epic, and cinematic quality. I love the little high-pitched guitar riff that comes in when he's like singing the Puerto Rican Jane part. So good. Love at first listen. Such a great song. Number 7 is International Feel by Todd Rundgren. Perfect, crazy, but catchy intro to a crazy but catchy album. The melody soars high, and Todd really sells it. There are about 3 hooks in the song, which I feel like I always mention that in my Song of the Year list. I'm like, well, this song has loads of hooks, so it must be good. The production is so layered and dense too, and it's one of my favorite tunes from Todd, even though I just think this is the 3rd year in a row I've nominated him in my songs list, and I think this might be my least favorite of the 3, even though it's my favorite album. But that's just kind of how it works. Still excellent song. And then for me, this is probably the tightest run race for Song of the Year yet, because any of these top 6 could have won, and it was really a dogfight. So number 6 is a better number 6 than you'd usually get, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And it's May You Never by John Martyn. There's a massive gap between 6 and 7, like I said. It's just such a gorgeous song. Shows how much can be done with just acoustic guitar and vocals. The melodies Martyn is weaving are downright impossible. Like, it's so cool how he has this really unique vocal delivery and just sort of weaves around these different melodies. The acoustic guitar playing is so good. His voice adds this sort of like warm, cozy, comforting autumn vibe. I feel a lot of nostalgia towards the song. I also just think it's just, you can't really fault it. If you've not heard it, definitely hear it. It's absolutely incredible. My number 5 is Firth of Fifth by Genesis. I was listening to my copy of it in preparation for this, and as soon as this started, I was like, like air piano, It's like as soon as that riff starts, I got so excited and so hooked and into the song. I knew it was my favorite on the album, but that kind of put it up a few spots. Just like every time I hear it lately, I'm just so into it. I think it's the best contribution Tony Banks ever made to the band, and then you get this great sort of thick guitar from Steve Hackett, and Peter Gabriel comes in with all this sort of swagger and presence. The vocal section is great, but you sort of come for the piano intro and you stay for the guitar solo from Steve Hackett, which is just incredible. Phil Collins is absolutely killing it on drums as well. The drums have such a great big sound without overpowering anything else. And yeah, I think it's their best prog epic. I think it's amazing. Genesis. Number 4, how is this only at number 4, I hear you ask? Over the Hills and Far Away by Led Zeppelin. I was just talking about great acoustic guitar playing with John Martyn, and this is one of the very best examples of great acoustic guitar parts. The folky vibes are immaculate. Makes for one of, if not my favorite Led Zeppelin song. I'm not really sure. It might be. It really transports me to my teens, and Plant's vocal is so perfect. And when it begins to rock out, it feels so earned and turns into this great headbanger. I'm glad to see so many other people share their love for it online, because for a while with How's the Holly, I thought it was just me that loved this album so much. Such was the sort of the push, not the pushback, but it gets nowhere near as much love as the first 4. And yeah, I love it dearly, the song, and it's a big reason for why I love How's the Holly. And it's also one of the first songs I learned on guitar that was beyond just chords. So it holds a big place in my heart for that reason as well. My number 3 is from David Bowie, and it is Lady Grinning Soul. Whoa, what an album closer this is. Aladdin Sane's not my favorite Bowie album. I think it's pretty uneven. There are high highs and not low lows, but there are some songs that I'm like, yeah. But that does mean that there are high highs, and this is one of them. I could have picked Driving Saturday, which is also awesome, but there is this real seductive and romantic atmosphere to the song, and maybe the most like tender vocal Bowie ever put. It's just incredible. Of course, the main thing that stands out immediately is Mike Garson's piano part, which is just spellbinding, impossible to resist. Really lovely little acoustic guitar flourishes from Ronson as well. And it's just magical. It's the kind of song that, quite a few people could make, but only Bowie and the session musicians he had could make it this good. And that's kind of what my thinking is on Lady Grinning Soul. It might be a top 10 Bowie song for me. I love it so much. And my number 2 is from The Who, and what could it be? It's I'm One, which is, it could just have easily been I've Had Enough, or Love Rain on Me, or The Real Me, or Cut My Hair, or whatever. But this was one that struck me immediately, and I've only loved it more and more. It's kind of similar to Over the Hills and Far Away in a way, in the sense that it sort of starts off acoustic with Pete Townsend. Pete Townsend sings it as well, which is cool. With acoustic with Pete singing, and then Keith Moon just comes absolutely crashing in, and Keith Moon, how he drums, right? He's there. He's just like, it's like, oh my god. And yeah, Townsend's vocals really good. I also love Roger Daltrey, but I think having both of them sing lead really sort of helps the album, I think, in a bit of variety, because they are, they have quite similar tones, but the way they sing is so different. Like Townsend's so tender and gentle, and Daltrey's like trying to summon something from the mountains, like Gandalf or something. And yeah, there's an equal sense of self-hatred and defiance in this song. Like at times you're like, oh, it's kind of self-pitying, but then the chorus, like, I'm one, it's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, he's really believing in himself. And it's an interesting dichotomy, which kind of fits really well with the character that's been put forth in the album. So, but yeah, also it's just great. Like all the instrumentation is great. It's really catchy and memorable, and it's like under 3 minutes, so it's easy to spin again and again and again and again, which is what I did. And for the second year in a row, Vanessa and I have the same Song of the Year winner, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John, which is my favorite Elton John song. I sort of alluded to it, that he's not really an albums artist for me, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have some of the greatest songs of all time, and this is one of them. The string arrangement is absolutely divine, and the vocal performance is magical. It's just one of those songs that you just can't deny. Like, if this song has haters, I don't want to meet them. I also don't believe that they exist. I've heard it like upwards of 100 times, but listening to it to figure out my list, I was tearing up. and I was like, how can a song I know this well that has never impacted me that emotionally before impact me emotionally like that now? And I think that just speaks to the level of quality we're talking about here. One of the most essential songs, not only of the 70s, not only of Elton John's catalogue, but ever. And I think I have to rethink where it might rank in an all-time favorite songs list. A kind of, it's the kind of thing that I've never attempted and hopefully never will, because I think it would kill me. But if I did, I would have to really give consideration to Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, because it is simply the best. Well, not the best, but it's the best of 1973, at least.
All right. Well, let's see if I ruin it.
The pressure's on.
Yeah. Okay, cool list. I think we also shared maybe a couple. Regardless, I'll get into it. Honorable mentions. Yeah, these were hard to kick out. These are all pretty cool, and there's even more that was cool. That I'm like, where am I gonna put that? Oh, I guess it has to be chopped because these are too good. Okay, so number 15 is My Old School by Steely Dan. Yeah, this record is pretty good. I don't care for it as much as Can't Buy a Thrill, I think, and they probably have more to come that I'll appreciate more. But regardless, it has some really cool songs, and this is the one that I went with. I'm also going number 14, Search and Destroy by Iggy and the Stooges. Raw Power, yeah, it's cool. It's definitely cool. I don't give it like 5 stars or anything, but the song goes pretty hard, and respect where it's due. Yeah, Search and Destroy, very cool. Very cool punk stuff. Number 13, going with Paris 1919 by John Cale. Always like this one. This is very fun, and these, yeah, John Cale strings. That's the only way to put it. Just come in, and it's kind of haunting, and yeah, I just love it. It's very cool. Very cool atmosphere he creates. John Cale, master of whatever, a vibe. Number 12. Number 12, I'm going with Time. Ooh, by David Bowie. Don't worry. Yeah, I wouldn't put. Oh, I see what you thought. Yeah, no, it's Time. It's Time by David Bowie. Yeah, I agree. I agree with most of what you said about this record, but I think this is a great song. I think it's one of the high highs on this record, and it's a good one. So it's Time. Number 11. This sucks. It didn't make it. I know. Listen, I know it sucks, but I'm going with A National Acrobat by Black Sabbath. After everything nice I said about Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, I don't even give them a top 10. Okay, that's my favorite on the record. I was sad that people were voting for it like round 1. Get out of here. Okay, number 10. Number 10. I'm going with Street Life by Roxy Music. Yeah. Opening song. I think Roxy Music has phenomenal opening songs like throughout their catalog. They know how to start a record, and do the Strand, whatever. Also very good. But Street Life, my favorite, perhaps one of my all-time favorite Roxy Music songs. Brian Ferry just sounds awesome, buttery. Sorry I can't put it higher, but it's tough. Anyway, number 9, I'm going with Watermelon Man by Herbie Hancock. Yeah, it's kind of the main sound of the record to me. It's the one, but it's funky, it's wacky, it's almost like silly at the beginning, it really is. But then the instruments start coming in, and it starts grooving like nobody's business. Herbie really laying it down in 73. I know some folks on the Discord are going through all of his work. That's way beyond me, but I appreciate you for doing that, and hopefully my words satiate you. If not, sorry. Number 8. Yeah, this one feels low too. This one is I Hope That I Don't Fall in Love with You by Tom Waits. Oh man, this is just, best known for his cover of Italian Girls by hitmakers Hall and Oates. This earlier track really shows this kind of tender side, and what I love about it is, it's this like apprehension, knowing that kind of admitting that, oh, if I fall in love with you, like we're gonna break up and it's gonna be devastating. I can't handle that, so I hope I don't, but I'm still gonna kind of try. And it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful, kind of uncertainties of love and tenderness that only old gravel muncher could bring. Okay, anyway, number seven, I'm going with Higher Ground by Stevie Wonder. Yeah, not by Red Hot Chili Peppers, but this riff is insane and the lyrics are just cool. It's kind of like it's definitely religious, but it's not really clear like what he talks about being given a second chance. So it's like, you could call it like born again, or maybe it's like a Buddhist or Hindu kind of thing. But mostly what I get out of it is, being given a second chance and just feeling grateful and thankful for the time that you do have. Very cool, very kind of woke stuff from Stevie. Can I say woke? No, I'm not gonna say woke. Very, very aware stuff from Stevie. I'm not a woke warrior or anything. All right, listen. Number six, very brief number six. It's Let's Get It On. All right. It's Marvin Gaye. You know it. You love it. Come on. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I need to say about that one. Number five, top five. Yeah, these are all really good. These are all classics. Number five, I'm going with 20th Century Boy by T-Rex. Uh-oh, banger alert. Mark Bolan just sounds so good on this. I love this song. It just rocks. This would have been really good on Tanks, by the way. It would have been the best song on there, but regardless, it wasn't. I think it was on later releases, so if you buy it now, maybe it's like it's on an extended version or something. But T-Rex, keep winning. No surprise, no problem. 20th Century Boy, yeah, great one. Number four, this one, I know what you're gonna say, but number four is She's Gone by Hall & Oates. Okay, this is a blue-eyed soul masterpiece. There's no way around it. This is phenomenal. It really kind of transcends and actually this record, Abandoned Luncheonette, is very good, I think. Regardless, that's another tangent, and not good enough to make my list, I guess, so whatever. But it really does kind of transcend like some of their other poppier stuff that they'll get into later. And I don't know, it's just it's always spoken to me. I love the kind of soft intro, and then it kind of explodes, and the chorus is just you feel it. You wonder where she went and what did go wrong. I don't know. Anyway, She's Gone. That's all we do know. Bronze medal, pretty cool bronze medal. I'm giving it to Funeral for a Friend / Love Lies Bleeding. Guess what? I get to pick two songs, Tom. Yeah, you trying to pick two songs that weren't actually one song. I'm picking a double song because I think it counts for real. Incredible instrumentation. And yeah, I ruined the trifecta, but you know what? You also ruined something else, and Vanessa ruined something. We're all ruining. This is so cool. It storms on with the instrumental. Oh man, Elton is just ferocious. And then it breaks into Love Lies Bleeding, which is on a good day, this is probably my favorite Elton John song. I don't know if that's true every day, but yeah, maybe today is one such day. I don't know. Find out later. It's not my favorite song of 1973, I guess. Silver medal goes to Over the Hills and Far Away. Of course. Yeah, it's one of the first songs I like wanted to learn on guitar. I grew up and like dabbled in drums. I had a drum kit. I took some lessons. I was not that good, but they were a lot of fun. But then later I moved into an apartment. I moved out of my dad's house, and I had to, not play drums anymore because I had neighbors on every wall adjacent to me. So got an acoustic guitar, and yeah, like you said, Tom, other than learning like I don't know, Redemption Song or something, this was like the first song that I really wanted to like sit down and learn, and really teaches you the powers of pull-offs and hammer-ons and just really cool techniques that are, you know, probably not that advanced, but when you're learning guitar, it sounds really cool and can impress anyone. So anyway, that's just a little aside, but this song still sounds so fresh. I love the way it sounds. Like, you know, I would never turn it off on the radio, and I had it on, you know, a few mixed playlists and stuff when I was doing that thing, and it still sounds so fresh. It sounds great in context of the record, of course, but this is a good, like, anytime Led Zeppelin song. It makes me feel very good, very kind of cheerful, and I don't know, it just makes me want to hit the road. And anyway, defining track of House of the Holy, and yeah, my favorite song on my favorite Led Zeppelin record. What does that tell you? Well, I don't know, find out later. But number one is, of course, Time. Yeah, by Pink Floyd. This time by Pink Floyd, not by David Bowie. Yeah, what's crazy about Time, and I guess this whole record, is when I first kind of got into it, I was like, yeah, I think I was in middle school, so I was like 12, right? And now I'm 32. So the line about, you know, 10 years have got behind you, no one told you when to run. Yeah, that's happened twice. You know, I used to listen to this sometimes on my birthday. Yeah, it's happened 5 times since the record's been out. So geez, the gun is long gone, you know. But anyway, just in my listening experience, it's happened twice. And it's like, wow, damn, where have 10 years gone? And anyway, it's a very, like, poignant point that, you know, time keeps going by and it's easy to lose track of. But regardless, I love the intro, the clocks that kind of scare you every time. And you know, my alarm clocks don't really sound like that, so it's kind of a weird old school, it's analog, I suppose, as kids would say. But you know, the kind of slow build, the sparse notes at the beginning, and the drums just sound very airy and cool, and then it kind of all comes together. And I don't know, it's hard not to think about your life listening to this song specifically. And yeah, it's maybe not the most fun song to listen to on your birthday, because, you know, you realize you're turning older and time is passing each moment. Just go have fun on your birthday. Don't listen to this song. But other days, very cool, very nice song to come home and warm your bones by the fire too. So it's Time by Pink Floyd. There you go.
Yeah.
You're 4 for 4, Tom. Yeah.
Woo. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Just like how, you know, 10 years go by so quickly, years go by so quickly without us getting trifectas. So people who watch this series weekly will be so pumped when that eventually happens. It's going to be an event.
It'll be a thing. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it'll be a thing.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for watching. We would love to see some songs lists down below. This is, yeah, I might actually do another poll for this one. Time or Goodbye Yellow Brick Road? I feel like that might be a pretty evenly contested matchup. But
I think you're probably right. Yeah.
Let us know what your favorite is. Next up for us is 1974. We're not sure yet if it's going to be a week from this video or 2 weeks or whatever. We're just sort of playing it by ear, and, you know, we've got lives, believe it.
We'll keep you posted. Yeah.
And we have other things to do other than listen to albums for this project. But yeah, this will keep going, and we're really enjoying doing it. Really grateful for all the people coming in to watch. The views are still pretty decent, so please do share with friends and whoever else you may know. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we will catch you very soon.